get this running game going?
Attention to detail. I think we need to take a hard look at, which we're going through the process right now of taking a look at what we've done, what we've put on tape, take a hard look at it, and obviously make the corrections from it. This time of year, you're not going to go and reinvent the wheel. You kind of know who you are from a schematic standpoint, but we got to do a better job of, making sure that everybody's on the same page and obviously we've had some unique circumstances here in really 3 of the 6 games that we've played. So the bats at the plate obviously affect some of that. So, we need to get into a little bit more of the complementary football and dive into, dive into the concepts that we feel good about. Because when you go back and look at the film, it's an aiming point here, an aiming point there. The back, presses his aiming point and presses his target a little bit more. It's just those little fine-tuned details that bring those things to life. And again, the more bats at the plate that you have at those concepts, the more that you can really feel the benefits of it.
Because of how the games have gone, is it difficult to know what your bread and butter kind of runs are at this point?
Yeah, like I said, in obviously the most recent game, Detroit there, I think the best illustration of it was really the second half in that Pittsburgh game. Where we really dove into just a few different concepts that we felt good about going into the game, and obviously, again, you just see the benefits of those repeat runs. The backs are feeling how the linebackers are playing. The guys up front are feeling how the defensive front is playing those combination blocks. So you just got to get into that rhythm. A lot of the running game is obviously about that rhythm, about that feel. I know, it's when you look at the numbers, it's easy to pinpoint the scheme piece of it, but we've been doing a lot of the same things here for a long time, and that's not we got to do a better job. There's nobody ducking for cover. I mean, we got to do a better job just fine-tuning the details and bringing the things to life.
When Zeke says I talked to the coaches about my role, how hard has it been just to find roles? Because you got a lot of running backs there.
Yeah.
How difficult has that been?
Again, some of the way that the games have played out has obviously impacted that, but and we've done it a little differently by game, but obviously the flow of the game and the complementary football piece of it ultimately affects the substitution pattern there and giving the guys the opportunities and giving the guys the touches. And again, until we get that, the run game going on a more consistent basis and we're staying ahead of the chains and we're playing with a more efficient mindset, you won't see the benefits of that. But that's the plan right now is, again, we need to be more efficient offensively. If we're more efficient offensively, it's going to lead to more bats at the plate for whoever the back is that's up at that particular time.
You talked about rhythm. Rico, you said the second half of Pittsburgh game was your best representation of the game. So you only had 1 carry in the first quarter, and that's a 7-3 game. So what goes into, the lower carries early in that game when it was still?
Yeah, and it wasn't by design. Again, it was – Zeke and Reek were alternating by series, so it just happened to play out that way based off of how that first quarter unfolded. But again, Coach Mike wants a fresh back. We're running back by committee, and whoever that live back is that's up, he's got to bring it. He's got to bring it. So
is that consistent throughout the whole season, just alternating by series?
We're taking a hard look at that. We're looking at everything right now because obviously the product out there isn't what we're looking for from a big picture standpoint. So we're looking at all options right now, and we'll see how that looks down the road.
You know how it is in a lot of cities. The backup quarterback's always the most popular guy in town, right?
Yep.
With Dalvin seems to become like the backup quarterback. Everybody's waiting to see with him. Where is he in his development?
Yeah, he's done a hell of a job. I mean, obviously didn't get here until the end of August, so didn't have an off season. So that part of it, he's behind the 8 ball. But coming in here, learning the new system, he's done a phenomenal job with that piece of it. He's come out here, worked his tail off every day. He's done a great job in the show team periods. We've integrated him some into the good on good periods as well. He's done a good job. It's still one day at a time, but he's everything that we thought he was coming in.
What gives you the most confidence that you guys can get the running game going?
I believe in the coaching staff first and foremost, and I believe in the men in that room. Not only the running backs, but in the offensive line room. I've spent a lot of time with those guys, and again, it's always those fine-tuned details that bring the run game to life. And when guys are taking turn, it's the right tackle here, it's the back here, it's the tight end here, it's the left guard here. It's tough to really get into that flow and get into that rhythm. So I have a lot of faith in the men in the locker room and a lot of faith in the coaching staff. And again, we can't fly off the reservation and think we're going to change the whole offense. I mean, we got to dive into the concepts that we feel good about, and we got to bring them to life. We got to do a better job with the attention to detail.
Zeke's touches have been limited. Dalvin hasn't
Yeah, it's tough, and obviously there's frustration that comes with that. But they're two veteran guys that have obviously experienced a lot in this league, and they get the big picture process and the big picture mentality of things. They're very unselfish. Speaking of both of those guys, very unselfish. But again, it's a one day at a time mentality, one day at a time process, and you just keep chipping through it, and let the chips fall where they may. But we gotta have more attention to detail, across the board. And again, as long as we don't fly off the reservation in terms of what we're doing conceptually, I expect to see, more production in the run game.